They say that they winning, but to me it's just a blowout. Ay. Every week we putting numbers on the board, we show out. Ay. All it took was just a bit of patience with the grind. Ay. You can never hold it back.
All right, welcome back to Drive the Lane on the Field of 68, presented by Bet Rivers. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bucks are hot. It's a 2-game stretch, but they beat IUPUI by what you'd think they would have beat 2 teams by combined. So it's really a 3-game stretch, we'll say. We don't have a guest on this episode, but we're going to talk about the most recent games against IUPUI and Penn State and why the Bucks can build momentum from the last 2 games and the next 2 games onto Purdue, who is currently ranked number 4. Get your calendars ready for January 30th. Get your calendars ready for June, but January 30th, we got Purdue. We'll start with this. Joey, a couple guys showed up tonight that haven't showed up this year. Some guys in different areas of the stat sheet than normal. Give me your IUPUI Ohio State takeaways, because we can spare the IUPUI takeaways.
Yeah. Poor IUPUI. Poor IUPUI, man. They are a train wreck. We were talking about it before. Their only win is against Spalding, and we just think that Spalding is just a team made up of guys that work at the Spalding basketball center.
Test the ball.
And test the basketball. Yeah, exactly. And that's Andrew's joke, not my joke. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, you're playing one of the worst teams in college basketball. The result is expected, but it's different for this team because they were on a long COVID pause. They haven't hit their stride since. Like, there's something to be said about playing a basketball game that counts against a different opponent than just yourself in practice with refs and fans in the stands. Like, that matters. And you can't get enough of those. It's important. So, number one, to get another game on the schedule from, the fact that we lost a few because of COVID is awesome. Couple that with the fact that as a team, we shot the ball really well. 80-plus points, 11 threes, getting productive minutes from a bunch of different guys. Going into the game, Holtman knows that just about 1 through 10, they're all going to play 20 minutes. The game is in hand before it even tips off. I'm pretty sure I heard the student section chanting "Start the buses" when we were up 2-0, which is pretty funny. But you get some productive minutes from a lot of contributors. You get to be out there on the court and play another basketball game, and it gives you momentum and swagger. Like, they were having fun, and Harrison Hookfin gets in the game, and guys get to cheer for him. Like, they've missed that because of a tough non-conference schedule and literally 2 weeks plus of not playing basketball. Like, they haven't had very many positive basketball moments recently. The game against Nebraska was awesome win, but it was a grind, and it was them getting back. Then you lose in Indiana in a game you had no chance of winning, basically, the whole time. You lose at Wisconsin without having, any chance of winning that game either. And then you beat Penn State. It's great, that's awesome. You beat Penn State, but you beat Penn State. Northwestern, obviously, great win also, but Holtman's not coaching. That's a weird game. So all that to say, IUPUI was great timing. It was awesome that the coaches scheduled this game because really a main point of emphasis is there are levels to the next few games on this schedule. And it's a really important part. This is the halfway point of the season, kind of, right? You got the non-conference games. You've got the front half of the Big Ten games. You mix in an IUPUI and IUPUI in there. And now it's all right, now let's see what we got in the second half of the year.
What I think is interesting about moving forward from this game is Cedric Russell and Eugene Brown are 2 completely different guys that if they can give you something, it's important. But let me explain why they're so different. Cedric Russell needs the confidence. He needs to feel confident shooting threes. He needs to feel confident taking the ball to the basket, maybe getting to the free throw line. Eugene Brown is going to do what Eugene Brown does no matter what. So the question for Eugene Brown is a matter of minutes. Does he start taking some of Justin's minutes? Is this a fluke because it's IUPUI? Versus Cedric Russell is more, okay, we saw you make all your shots tonight, but can you do that like you did in the Duke game? Can you do that, but give us 2 or 3 buckets, So I think the Nebraska and Minnesota game are going to be almost, and at this point in the season, you don't love doing it, but if Justice is still not back, you're looking at a couple of potential feel out games where, maybe they experiment with Eugene Brown in the starting lineup. Maybe Cedric Russell is the first guard off the bench if Michi Johnson still, is out. So it's going to be a weird midseason experimental thing, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if it pays off. Cedric Russell, me and you were talking about this the other day. We were like, why didn't, Holtman, why did the staff go out there and get like a second legit score? And the answer is, they might have thought they had something with Cedric Russell. So I think those two guys are the two biggest takeaways of like, hey, what is their minutes going to look like going further? And like I said, Cedric is confidence. Eugene is, can we find the time?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think that, there's 4 guys that really got a ton of run tonight that don't get a ton of run in games. Eugene Brown and Cedric Russell, who you mentioned, as well as Jimmy Sotos and Joey Brunk. And Jimmy Sotos and Joey Brunk, I think, fall into a different category because they have quite literally been there and done that. Jimmy Sotos has played a ton of games. He's averaged double digits. He has averaged 7 assists in a season. Like, been there, done that. Joey Brunk has played at Butler. He's played at Indiana. Like, he's been there, done that. That having those guys as last resorts sort of deal, for lack of a better term, are great to have. But guys like Gene Brown and guys like Jimmy Sotos, and Cedric Russell, like exactly what you're saying, those guys are like impact options that you could have. And I'm the first guy to say it all the time on Twitter. Eugene Brown needs more minutes. I just love what he brings to the table. He brings a component of defense that, is kind of lacking on the team. Ton of rebounding, and he can hit an open shot, make layups, crash the boards on offense. I think that's a huge benefit. Cedric Russell, obviously a little bit more finesse, can hit some open shots. A team that has been lacking from the 3-point line lately, I think that's an asset as well. It's just a matter of where do they fit in, right? Eugene Brown might start to take some of Justin's minutes, and I love Justin more than anybody on the planet, but rightfully so at some point. Justin's a shooter, and if you're not making shots, what are you doing for me beyond being a great leader, which he is? And Justin's awesome, and talk about a last resort. Like, he's a great guy to say, you know what, we're gonna bench him for Eugene Brown. Like, what a luxury to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, if Justice Suing comes back, where's he fit in? Like, obviously he's going to start and play a ton.
And Michi's out right now, so
exactly.
So
it's an embarrassment of riches for the staff right now. It's interesting. Eugene Brown needs to play more. I love the guard rotation when you bring Michi in. I think that what they had going guard-wise was great because that was always the question mark, was the guard position. Now it's like, okay, where will Justice fit in? Should Eugene Brown start? And in my opinion, Justin needs like a reset. He needs something because he went from shooting at a close to 50% clip to now he's shooting at a close to 25-30% clip. Something's got to give. I think he's the first person that would say, I'm okay with coming off the bench. The most selfless guy I know, one of the best teammates that I had at Ohio State. He hit a couple shots tonight. Hopefully that gives him some momentum, but there's no doubt about it. You need to find some more minutes for Eugene Brown. He was awesome tonight. I think part of it is that we played IUPUI, but again, all of this are great problems to have. Joey Brunk's the guy who can start. Jimmy Soto's the guy who can start. Obviously, Cedric Russell and Eugene Brown can start as well. And Justice Suing and Michi Johnson are just sitting there waiting for their turn. Yeah. So it'll be. I think you're right about the fact that the next few games, like if shit isn't working, Holtman's going to try something different, which he hadn't been in the past few games.
Let me give you an interesting stat.
Yeah.
So Justin Arns last year, 5.7 points in 18 minutes a game. This year, 27 minutes a game, only 7.1 points per game. You got to think that, and that might have been a little higher a few weeks ago, but you got to think that going into the season, they were thinking he was going to be hitting 2 to 3 threes a game, closer to that 8 or 9 number, if not 10. So I don't think correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't this happen last year where he kind of slumped a little bit and they did they're always moving him in and out of the starting lineup. It was more matchup based last year, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because he was one of the guys who had COVID also, so like that could absolutely have something to do with it. But
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, as a shooter, like there's ebbs and flows. Like he's going to keep working hard. He's got to keep shooting. And the beauty about Justin Arns is every shot he shoots, you think it's going in. So as an opponent, as an opposing staff, you're still game planning as if he's going to make every shot that he shoots and you don't want him to shoot any threes. And that causes, this elite gravitational pull that he has in the game, whether he's making shots or not. So at the very least, that's what he brings on offense. But like, it's only a matter of time before the seal is just launched off and the man is hitting 3 threes in a game, going 4 for 5, going 5 for 8. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a matter of time. And hopefully it's sooner rather than later. But like, I got all the belief in the world in the kid, and he will come back and he'll be great. But it's like, maybe he needs a reset. Maybe he does.
Let's fast forward for a quick second because we're talking about the roster here. Let's fast forward to like February 6th. And just looking at the schedule, they play Maryland February 6th. Let's say everybody's back. Okay. They're definitely going to go 7 deep, but let's say they cap it at 8 for rotation of a big game down the stretch, eventually Big Ten tournament, March Madness. Who do you think that 8 is? You don't have to say starters versus bench, but like, because we just named guys that we think need to get in the rotation potentially, but we named 9 or 10 guys. So who do you think the 8 are?
Yeah, it's a good question. In the front court, it's Zed Key, Kyle Young, EJ Liddell. Obviously Jamari Wheeler. And then Justice is healthy. Justin Arns is playing.
So you got two spots left now for, did you say Malachi?
No, Malachi.
Yeah.
And, if we're capping it at 8,
Michi?
Probably Michi.
Yeah.
But like, I just.
And you're happy with foul trouble and Eugene Brown's your guy coming in.
Right. I just don't. Yeah, it's just 8 is just not the number for this team. It's interesting because like Seth Towns even comes back. Like he might be in the rotation, probably not, but
yeah,
it's Cedric Russell's got to fit in there too. But the best teams in the country are the teams that more often than not have a smaller bench,
right?
Which is interesting. It's like almost like, damn, you wish you could just combine these guys and just have 5 guys that are all playing 40 minutes who are great versus 4 guys who are great and 3 other guys that are solid.
I think the smaller benches work because those are the guys that get the most reps in practice. They get the most in-game reps. But right now there's not, 7 or 8 guys that have proven or are healthy to be getting 7 or 8 guys worth of reps,
Yeah, it's just wild. It's just an interesting dynamic. Like college basketball is so weird because night in and night out, you just don't know what some guys are going to give you. Like in the NBA, it's a little bit different because you've got like a set rotation and when you're subbing into games and that if a guy is going, he's going to stay in and blah, blah, blah. But like at the same time, like the one thing that's consistent between the two, and I think is more so in college, is like your role players are awesome at home and they help you win big games at home, but sometimes they disappear on the road. And that's why it's great to have like a bench of like 9 or 10 guys, right? Because Nebraska, obviously, like Malachi was unbelievable, but what if he wasn't? Like we would have struggled a ton and we would have needed someone instead of him. At home, Cedric Russell was awesome tonight. He was awesome against Duke. Justin Arns, I think back to like games where he had 30 against Iowa when he was the literal definition of a role player as a freshman who just came in to shoot threes. Like those games happen at home, but it's on the road where the bench having a lot of depth helps because some guys just ain't got it on the road sometimes, that's just college hoops. But yeah, it's interesting because it is a question of, and I said this with on Sirius XM radio the other day with John Crispin, like it's it definitely comes down to like who is EJ's Robin. He's Batman, who's his Robin, and we can talk about it all we want, but like the fact that we talk about Zed Key being it, we talk about Malachi being it, we talk about Justin maybe being it, we talk about Jamari Wheeler being it, like the fact that we go through all these names and Justice Suing hasn't even played, it's like, holy moly, like that, it's the old saying, if you got two quarterbacks, you don't have one, you don't have any. That's what it kind of boils down to. So I like that guys gained some confidence tonight. I like that they got some swagger tonight, and moving forward, it's going to be interesting to see who Holtmann trusts in those moments. Is it Eugene Brown? Is it Justin Arns? Is it Cedric Russell? Is it Jimmy Sotos? Guys like that, in the front court, you know what you're getting between Kyle Young and Zed paired with EJ. You know what you're getting. It's a matter of, okay, what are these other guys going to give you? How can Holtmann plug and play Eugene Brown when we need defense, Justin Arns when we need offense, Justice Suing when he's healthy, Michi Johnson in there as well. What fits in where? And that's, I think, a big question mark moving forward. And I trust the staff and I believe in them, obviously.
So moving forward, the next few games, we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, but you look at Nebraska, and on Twitter today, there was some talk that they're entering into some COVID trouble. Hopefully the game still gets played.
Minnesota
is? I thought it was Nebraska.
No, Minnesota is.
Okay. So the
next?
Nebraska game is good.
Yeah.
That's the next game, Nebraska.
Yeah.
All right.
And just for whatever it's worth, not before you get on a tangent, that's the captain's game where I get honored at halftime. So
against Nebraska.
Yeah.
Well, I just heard it's canceled.
Stop.
No, I'm just kidding. But all right, so let's say the Nebraska game is going to happen as scheduled. That should be a win. That has to be a win.
Has to.
Kind of what we were saying. And then you go to Minnesota. Joey, you'll give your comment on, the outcome of that game, what has to happen. But let's say both of those games happen. I think the bench gets shorter and shorter each game moving towards Purdue. I think Holtmann would like to have 8, 9 going into that Purdue game. And I think guys are going to have a chance to, quote unquote, prove it in the Nebraska-Minnesota games. Hopefully they both happen.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. I wouldn't be surprised if these next two games are a real tryout for a lot of guys, just to see what they, whether they get 4 minutes in a game or 10 sort of deal. Right. Obviously shit happens and things will change, but I agree with you. I think that the way that I kind of looked at this 4-game stretch, and because in the season, there's a lot of things that come in fours that we talk about. For example, every 4 minutes, there's a TV timeout, and we call that a 4-minute war. So you try to win every 4-minute war and take each game like each war is its own individual game. You win all the wars, you're going to win the game. So that's something that we talk about a ton. Similar things like 4-game stretches. And right now, this 4-game stretch that started with IUPUI is a classic example of going, there's levels to each game and it ramping up as it goes, which is nice, especially coming off of the COVID pause. IUPUI is like a layup, right? I mean, not only is it a game that you are supposed to win, you're supposed to win by 100.
Is there anything easier than a layup? It's like tying your shoes.
Yeah, it's like waking up. It's like showing up. That's like beating IUPUI is like showing up. You're not only supposed to win, you're supposed to win by 100. It's supposed to be easy. Everyone's supposed to contribute. Everyone's supposed to get minutes. Blah 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 blah. And it happened. So thank God for that, and I'm glad that the outcome happened that way. It's a game to prove yourself, prove why you should be getting minutes, get your feet back under you, gain some momentum, some swagger going into the rest of the Big Ten season, like we said 100 times already. Then you move on to Nebraska, home game against the worst team in the conference. You have to win that game also. Granted, you're playing against a team that you just beat in overtime. They know your stuff. It's hard to win in the Big Ten. They're better, more athletic, more talented players than IUPUI, but at the end of the day, you're supposed to win that game, and more often than not, do it handedly as well. Then we talk about the Minnesota game. That's a little bit of a better team, and it's on the road. We've talked about this a billion times. It's hard to win on the road in the Big Ten. Couple that with the fact that Minnesota has been hot for stretches, been cold for stretches. They're a better team than Nebraska. It's on the road. You gain some momentum from IUPUI, you gain more momentum from Nebraska, and now Minnesota's like, all right, here's our next test. It's like 5th grade algebra when it's like, all right, like I've done multiplication, I've done division, I know addition. Now it's like, all right, let's see what I can do when you put little letters and I have to solve both sides of the equation sort of deal. It's tough, but very winnable. And if you're supposed to win that game if you want to contend to win the Big Ten, which we are right now in the midst of contending for the Big Ten. So that leads me to, obviously, the next game is Purdue, and that is as hard of a game as you'll have in the Big Ten. Luckily, we've ramped it up on the way here. We played a shitty IUPUI team. You played an average Nebraska team at home. You played a good Minnesota team on the road and hopefully won that game. Now you're playing the best team in the conference. I don't care if it's on the road or at home. You're playing the best team in the conference. That's when it's like, okay, by that point on, fingers crossed, if you're an Ohio State fan, Ohio State is back to our pre-COVID selves. We've proved it in every way, shape, and form. Now it's like, all right, are we for real? Are we for real to win the Big Ten? Are we for real to contend for an Elite Eight, Sweet 16, Final Four sort of run? What do we got in the tank? And that's where we'll find it out. So it's exciting that we lucked out that we have a stretch like this. You know, we joked about how, you know, the season, you once you play a really good team, you might have a couple nights off with some average teams before you play another good team. They don't stack the schedule against you. This is a perfect example of, okay, bad, good, you know, bad, average, good, great sort of deal, right? Like we get right up through it, and we'll see what we're made of in this stretch. Like Nebraska, you know, if we want to keep going with the basketball analogies, right? Nebraska or IUPUI is the layup. Nebraska is a free throw. Minnesota is a 3, and Purdue's a half court shot. So we'll see what we're made of. There's no doubt about it. We'll see what we're made of.
We're pretty good at half court shots, you and I.
Absolutely.
They get a bad rap. They're not that hard.
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, ask our guy
Diebler
about half court shots. Those are layups to him.
So I pulled up your tweet about hit me with questions. A lot of them we honestly hit with just all the things we talked about, you know, how to get Eugene Brown and Jimmy more minutes. Do you have any more years of eligibility? You answered that.
No.
Yes, 3 more years. Does the starting lineup need to be changed? We answered that. How do you get the younger guys / newer guys more minutes? But there's 2 here that I want to present to you.
Sure.
The first one is, I'm going to kind of rephrase a little bit. You think Kyle Young is still a little banged up right now?
I think that everybody's banged up. I mean, Kyle Young has been banged up since he was born. Like, I mean, that's just the nature of Kyle Young. I think that a couple of different things. Number one, a game like this, like, unless he's really hurt, who cares? Like, this is not a game for Kyle Young. Unless he was, when he used to be in the Eugene Brown role, then it was a game for Kyle Young.
Right.
You know, like, Holtman is not putting him out there and wasting his precious Kyle Young minutes in a game against IUPUI. You know what I mean? Do I think he's hurt and banged up? Probably. He always will be banged up. I think that this COVID pause has caused a lot of guys to look banged up as well. You think Justin Arns, there's something wrong with him. The first few games of EJ Liddell, you thought something was up with him. You know, like, so do I think Kyle's banged up? Sure, I do. I don't think it's banged up to a point where it's going to impact him. I think that he's a guy that a banged up Kyle Young giving you 15, 20 minutes is better than just about any other guy in the Big Ten in the front court. So, do I think he's banged up? Sure, a little bit. I don't think it'll affect him moving forward. I think that this game was basically a rest game for him. I would imagine, I'm sure you're looking at the stats, Olden. He played less than 15 minutes, I bet, tonight. So I'm not worried about the guy. He's as tough as they come. I'm reading the question now. Is he a shell of his best self? Like, yeah, I think he is a little bit, but like, he's just got a different role. Zed Key plays a ton. EJ plays a ton. Like, when he's out there with Joey Brunk, he can't be Kyle Young. Kyle Young can only be Kyle Young when EJ and Zed are out there, when he is, you know, when he doesn't get any attention. You know what I mean? So I would agree. The last part of the question is, he's playing at all conference level last year until he got hurt. Like, yeah, I would agree. Like, I don't think he is the 100% Kyle Young that he's ever been, but he'll be just fine moving forward.
I feel like, and this is not knock on Kyle Young, I feel like Kyle Young has maxed out. Like, he shoots the ball a little more this year, and he's definitely improved as a 3-point shooter. But like, Zed Key drastically improved his game from last year to this year. Yeah, and Kyle Young is kind of just like, his plateau is his peak is good, but he's kind of plateaued at that peak, which is not
right.
bad.
Yeah, it's just like the classic, like Kyle Young's got the highest floor in the history of college basketball. Like the ultimate energy guy, great teammate, is going to get you buckets, is going to get you rebounds. You know what you're getting every night from him. And he might hit a couple threes. He might end up with 18 points in a game just by playing hard. And that's like an awesome ceiling to have. But he's got the highest floor as well. Whereas a guy like Zed Key, higher ceiling, but probably a little bit of a lower floor just because he doesn't bring the same stuff to the table.
Yeah.
But Zed Key is obviously a better player than Kyle. Just they're different. They're just different. But yeah, Kyle Young's got a different peak because it's just the way he plays. And especially when he's played for 100 years, like he's gotten better as he's gone on. But this year has been weird because he's just been dealing with a lot of stuff. And he just became a dad. Shout out to Kyle. Did we even congratulate on that? Shout out to Kyle.
He's not just Michigan's dad anymore. Now he's got his own kid.
Heyo.
All right. And there's one more question from your good friend Timmy Hall, our good friend Timmy Hall.
Yes, sir.
Thoughts on the fast break and how important pushing the ball can be. Can Ohio State force themselves to be something they are not, which I think they definitely scored on the fast break tonight, but there was like a stretch of like 70 game minutes where they hadn't scored. Compliments of Adam Jardy for the number.
Yes, I remember seeing that and thinking like, wow, that is 100% true. Like it's crazy. But yeah, I think it's a great question and it absolutely needs to be addressed. It's bizarre, right? Like Ohio State Holtman's always wanted us to play fast and opportunistic and take a really good first shot. But at the same time, Peden and Holtman, whoever's talking offense, have always stressed the importance of getting a paint touch before, we score, because there are stats to back that up and analytics that, when we get a paint touch and then you shoot a three, the 3-point percentage is 10 points higher. We have half a point per possession higher when we get a paint touch. Stats like that are important, and it makes you slow down the game because you want to get a paint touch to score. And a paint touch can come in a variety of different ways, Andrew. Do you know? Can you give me some examples of a paint touch?
A post up.
Yep.
Driving the ball yourself.
Yep.
Offensive rebound. Does that count?
Absolutely. And the only other way would be like if a guy like cut back door and it's in the paint or whatever. So yeah, you're spot on. So paint touches are really important for our offense. It's a lot of what we're geared on, especially because we play as inside out as any team in the country. But we could do a better job of being more opportunistic. Like there's no harm in getting some easy shots. A fast break, throw ahead, Justin Arn's 3-pointer. There's not a better shot that you can really get, an open 3-pointer by one of the best shooters in the conference. So I would say that forcing ourselves to be something we're not at times is fine. I think we need to be more opportunistic. I think that's the best way to kind of phrase it. If it's there, take it. Jamari Wheeler in the open court is awesome. He's a great passer. He's a really improved finisher and better than people give him credit for around the rim. It's like Zed Key, if he is a guy that gets down there and runs the floor well, give him the rock. EJ Liddell runs the floor as well as any big in the entire conference. It's just a matter of being realistic. A throw ahead, EJ Liddell trailing the play behind him, pass 3 is an awesome shot. Some people wouldn't consider this a fast break, but it is kind of where if Zed Key's the first big down the court, he's trained to seal his guy off and ask for a post up. What happens is Jamari Wheeler drives down the floor. If he doesn't have a straight line drive to the rim, he is waiting for either a ball screen from EJ or a pass back to EJ, and EJ's looking in. So what some people would not consider a fast break, I would consider this a fast break. Jamari driving to the elbow, has nothing, throws it back to EJ, who immediately rifles it inside to Zed. Zed, one dribble, crab dribble, hook shot. We scored in 7 seconds, but that might not be a fast break point. That's where we need to be a little bit more opportunistic, I think.
Another thing that's happened a few times, and this obviously is not the answer to why the fast, but there's been a lot of times where Jamari Wheeler steals the ball and then they throw the ball away. That has happened a good amount of times, which has got to be frustrating for, Jamari. So, Joey, I want to end with this. I don't know if you are a frequent ESPN radio listener. All the shows kind of have their own version of like a love it or shove it, like book it. So I'm trying to think what our term could be. I got a couple questions for you. You're going to kind of tell me, just say yes or no. Because you're a smart guy on your feet. Like, what should we call it? Well, I was going to say like make it or take it, but those both are a good thing.
We could just do buy or sell. It's the classic PTI.
All right, buy or sell. But sell means you don't think it's going to happen for all those people out there. Because sometimes sell is good. Sometimes sell means you made a profit. So just so everyone knows, sell is.
Are you buying it? Do you want it? Or are you selling it? You don't want it.
Right. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Malachi Branham, one and done.
Selling. It's funny you say that because I have a really close friend who works for Sports Illustrated and he's their draft guy. Jeremy Wu, we've had him on the show. He has been texting me nonstop about Malachi in a very positive way because after that Nebraska game, he's turned some heads. I mean, he's 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan, can shoot the three, good playmaker, good rebounder, plays defense. Like, absolutely. You're
not doing a good job of the buy or sell, by the way.
But I'm selling because he could go and pick 45 through 60. Like, he could, just based off of the projections. And
I think that's if, and now I'm doing a bad job of keeping it quick, but that's if the draft is tomorrow. Because if he has a few more Malachi Branham crazy games, then people overdraft. That's not a negative on Malachi. That's just, I've mentioned that before. I'm selling because he fits the bill of, all right, great season. Let's build on it and be the guy next year and turn myself into a lottery pick. That's why I'm selling. All right. Buy or sell. Ohio State is a top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament.
By the year's end, I'm buying. I think that
you're not doing a good. It's on to the next one. It's a quick rapid fire buy or sell.
Oh, I can't explain. All right. Buying.
All right.
The 4th seed. We're the 4th seed.
Ohio State makes the Sweet 16 in March Madness. Buy or sell?
Buying. Too good of a player in EJ Liddell. He can win you 2 games by himself.
All right. I can't think of any more because we just came up with the segment on the spot.
Andrew,
give me a couple.
Buy or sell? Is Baker Mayfield the starting quarterback for the Browns next year?
Ooh. Is he, or do I want him? It's two-part
Baker
question.
Mayfield is the starting quarterback for the Browns. Buy or sell?
Week 1, I'm buying.
Okay.
Week 4, I'm selling.
The Cleveland Cavaliers are a legit threat in the East.
I'm selling. They're not a legit threat. I mean, the Bulls aren't even a legit threat when you got the Bucks and the Nets and the Heat. So
I'm selling as well. Okay. We're both Bulls guys. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan starting guards in the All-Star game.
Sell because it's stupid fan vote. Buy if I'm picking and players are picking and stuff.
Well, I had this conversation with Jalen, who obviously knows as well as anybody. He said his opinion was they should be starters.
Yeah,
but they won't be.
So I'm buying the concept, but I'm selling the reality of it.
Okay. Buy or sell. This is also a Jalen topic. Buy or sell. Ben Simmons is the worst All-Star in NBA history.
I would need to look through the
buy or sell, Andrew.
I'm gonna sell that because I think the jury's still out. He could have a resurgence.
All right.
Buy or sell. Wait, actually, I'll ask you off air because I don't want to give anything away about Jalen.
No, we're not giving anything away. I don't know anything more than anybody.
Buy or
else.
sell. Brunson's on the Mavs in March.
Ooh, I'm selling. I think.
Okay.
I think I'm selling.
So
I guess
the Mavs are too.
I don't know. My opinion on this, and I've had a bajillion people ask me about this, which is fun. Like, it's fun stuff. It all boils down to, number one, do the Mavs think they can contend for the championship this year? Probably not, right? And number two, are they going to pay him? If they're going to pay him, then you keep him.
Yeah.
If they're not going to pay him, you gotta trade him to get something in return, right?
Does contending mean they keep or trade? Because what if they trade him for, a Jeremy Grant? And that would be more of a, we think we can contend. So I think it depends.
That's a good point, but Jeremy Grant is not what they need.
Well, I'm just saying,
like, I don't know, like, what they need is a second scoring threat at the guard position.
Yeah.
They thought it would be like a Tim Hardaway Jr., but it's been Jalen. Like, they would be trading away what they need, kind of, just for Mavs specific.
Right.
What about buy or sell the air fryer?
My girlfriend Brittany just looked at me. Buy the air fryer.
I'm buying so hard. I've made like 8 meals in the air fryer the last week. Chicken, steak. You ever made steak in the air fryer, Andrew?
Yes.
Brittany, have you?
She has.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
That's Brittany's Field of 68 debut.
Hey, welcome. Little salt, little pepper, little garlic powder. All I did on the steak. Throw it in the air fryer, put it in for 16 minutes, flip it after 8, and it was a little bit too done. I'd probably go 14 minutes next time. But like,
I got a great buy or sell to finish it off.
Yeah, hit me.
The air fryer's healthy. I'm selling it. I don't believe it. It's too good. It's too good to be healthy.
Oh no, I'm buying it.
I'm selling. It's too good. I don't believe that it's, healthy. It's too yummy. What did Barkley say about Zion? If it tastes good, spit it out.
Yeah.
All right. We turned that into a pretty solid episode.
Wait, that was your last buy or sell was?
Well, my last buy or sell is Jalen on the.
Oh, I thought you said. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Then you sparked my mind with the.
Do you,
air fryer.
Andrew? What's your Dairy Queen order?
They change it up too much. I'm a sucker for the advertising the blizzard.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. Like they'll be like, "Ooh, our new Reese's strawberry blizzard." I'm like, I gotta get that. That sounds unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a good brownie batter blizzard. Just chocolatey with brownie. I'm good. Brittany, what about you?
What's your go-to Dairy Queen order?
Chocolate, and more chocolate.
Chocolate, and more chocolate. I don't like too much chocolate. I think it's too rich.
Yeah, but the brownie batter blizzard is perfect. Vanilla base with brownies in there and chocolate syrup, and that's pretty much it. And then they mix it up, and it's literally, oh my God, I haven't had sweets in a long time. I've been like cutting down on them major since the new year, as well as making. What was your New Year's resolution, Andrew? On the topic.
New Year's resolution. I had a few. One of them was to read more, which I've yet to do.
That's always my New Year's resolution.
I actually read a couple Alec Lewis stories. Shout out to Alec Lewis.
Oh, another shout out. Sorry, Eugene Brown has been Chris Enright, who is who you know too, Andrew, my roommate from college. Like Chris Enright has been saying to me every single day, Eugene Brown needs to play more. He needs to start. He needs to play more. And then he was awesome tonight. He said, if you don't give me a shout out on the podcast tonight, we're not friends. So there's a shout out. Sorry. And shout out to Alec Lewis, obviously.
Shout out to Alec Lewis. When baseball season starts again, I wanna get him on.
Yeah, perfect. We talk so much baseball. That would be an elite episode.
We could talk Guardians.
Yeah, we could talk Guardians. We could talk, oh my God, the list goes on and on.
All right, we were worried about not making enough time out of this episode. Now I think it's going to go too long. So Buckeyes got a big stretch coming up. Beat Nebraska, Minnesota beat COVID, and then Buckeyes beat Minnesota, and then beat Purdue, and then beat Iowa. And
we'll talk to you before Purdue.
Yeah, we'll talk to you before all that, but buckle up, drive the lane.
Go Buckeyes.